And the Hyperfire just keeps on jamming, and I think I know why this is. If you have a little look at this, you can see here that the dart is actually sitting slightly backwards in the magazine, which means that this belt thing here, the little teeth on it, won't be able to engage the dart because it's not sitting totally upright. Now, sometimes when I adjust these and put them completely straight, it will fire off a couple. Close that. But it's not even firing off a couple now. I'm gonna keep on persevering with this a couple more times, give it a chance, and we're still not going. You can see here that maybe it's trying. I'm just gonna take a couple of darts out. The thing is, if you take a couple of darts out, like this, and then try, it's just absolutely horrendous actually, isn't it? Pretty terrible that Nerf's newest blaster. There we go. That was one. We got one out, guys. We got one dart out. Man, this is unreal. There we go. And we're now firing through. And we fired through that. I'm not sure how many that was, but you know, it certainly wasn't a whole clip. I've got to say that was quite disappointing. I'm going to try one more just to kind of prove the point that it's not just a one-off. Oh, there we go, look at that, look at that. Oh. Well, we fired off the whole lot that time, that was kind of nice. Let's just try one more. Same problem again. You see, oh look, well, you see this dart, it looked like it was trying to fire this one off, but like I say, I think it is something to do with the teeth not being able to engage with the dart because they naturally tend to sit further back in the magazine, unless you put them forward yourselves. There's one. But still no more. Do you know what? This could be disastrous for you in a Nerf war, so I'm not sure the Hyperfire is where it's at. We're going to put some IMRs in a few blasters now and just sort of see how they go, but yeah, that's what we're seeing. I've got to say, whilst I really like what Worker was trying to do here, I can't help thinking that actually it would be much better to just have, say, a 25 round straight mag or a 22 round straight mag, because look, it's happened again. And so it seems like a consistent issue no matter what the blaster that these mags have, that it struggles with the first couple of rounds. And to be quite frank, if you're sort of kind of underloading it, if you're loading it up with maybe, I don't know, 20 rounds, then why not just stick with an 18 round mag? That was fantastic. Okay, let's give this a go on 3 IMRs now just to see how it goes. I can't see that it'll make a difference, but hey. Well, to be fair, apart from that first one, that wasn't actually all that bad. Yeah, you can see here that now that we're fully loaded, as in like 22 plus a couple of extra, we're now sitting straight, which I think is eliminating the problems we had before with the Hyperfire. Ooh, we do have a jam though, and it is the same problem that we were having before, which is namely that the dart is simply sticking. Yeah, that's no good. Great fun when it does work though. So here are my concluding thoughts on these guys. Basically, I've fired them off loads more times than you've seen, and loads more times than I can keep track of. It's been absolutely unreal. My favourite blaster to use these with unquestionably has to be the Rapidstrike, because I found this to be the most reliable. And I've got an idea of why this is. Basically, there is an issue with the darts not progressing through the magazine because they get jammed. And I think that by using a flywheel that's a little bit more violent in its action, where there are more vibes, more shaking, possibly due to how badly it's been modified, I think that means that the darts get shaken around so they don't in fact jam. I think there's also a similar situation for this guy here. Especially slam firing, a springer's priming mechanism is going to mean that the darts are going to get shaken around a little bit, and that it's more likely that they'll do what they need to do. So there are reliability issues with regular flywheel blasters, with them being a lot more patchy and less reliable with these 22 dart magazines. And I think that's simply because normal flywheels don't get shaken around so much. It's a smoother action to pull the trigger, as opposed to having to mechanically prime with a springer, or being shaken around by the bad mechanism of a poorly modified Rapidstrike. I mean, in theory, the running around motion in the game might help shake the darts around and help them progress, but as soon as you stop and you're stationary and firing, you're still going to have that same issue. To be honest, the Hyperfire I could not recommend for use with these magazines. The way that the darts don't sit straight at the top simply means that the belt mechanism is less likely to engage. There were improvements with a really heavily loaded mag, as in like the darts did sit straighter in a more heavily loaded magazine, but yeah, it's still a bit and I guess like with anything, it's a risk, isn't it? If you're prepared to live with a little bit more risk of it jamming for the sake of a couple of extra rounds, that's fantastic. I personally would rather have the reassurance of something a little bit more reliable, which I know probably isn't going to jam, or have a few more extra darts and less chance of jamming. I hope that doesn't sound too negative. They're a lot of fun, and like I say, in some blasters, they work really, really well. I mean, maybe if you're prepared to shake or tap your flywheel blasters as you're playing, kind of similar to what happens in paintball, maybe that'll... There you go, see, because like if you give it a little shake, then it kind of makes a difference. So, but even then, we're still jamming. Maybe it's a case of being prepared to shake it or tap it as you're playing, but it's still kind of unreliable there, even so. So bearing in mind I use a Raven as my top loading primary, I 100% will not be using these in that because they're proving too unreliable. I will, however, be using it in my secondary, which is absolutely superb. Oh, but even there we have a bit of a jam, even there. I don't know, maybe there's still some decisions to be made. Okay, let me rephrase that. These have the greatest chance of being used in my secondary for the reasons I said before. It seems to be more reliable, but personally, until I start using a Springer as a primary, that's going to be the most action that these could possibly see. So that's my review of these new products. Hope you've enjoyed that. This is Justajolt signing off. Oh man. This is a public service message. Don't let this be you. Dang it.